You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, Days of Our Lives fans. This is Soap Dirt on YouTube, and we want to talk about this paternity test that Sloan Petersen rigged. And we have to wonder if Eric is going to forgive her or dump her for telling him this colossal lie. So on the most recent episode of the NBC soap, we saw the paternity test come out, and EJ DiMera was jubilant that Eric was not a match for the baby. Remember, everybody was wondering why they weren't going to go ahead and test both EJ and Eric for a match to Nicole Walker's baby. And Nicole wasn't worried about it because she knew if she had a DNA sample from one of them, it would either say yes or no. And if it was a no, that meant the other guy was the dad. So she trusted Sloan to swab Eric, since he's a heavy sleeper, and get her the sample. Unfortunately, Eric figured out that Sloan was lying to him and he busted her. And so she gave him the sample and he took it over to Nicole to confront her about not telling him that she was pregnant. All right, we're going to talk about a lot of this and what's going to spill out very soon. We have a leaked script to talk about, lots of stuff. If you haven't already, reach down, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our Days of Our Lives spoilers, casting news, everything you need to know. All right, so here's what we do know is that at some point between now and October, the truth is going to come out, but we also know that Eric is not going to break up with Sloan. All right, so there was this leaked script. Jessica Serfaty, who plays Sloan Petersen, was making an Instagram video in her dressing room, and there was a little shot of a script. You could see part of it. It wasn't all in focus, but she's asking Eric if everything is okay with the baby, and he says the baby is fine, and then he said something about a prescription. Because this showed up in like the third week of April, that means it's going to air late October, maybe early November. That means the baby should be born by then because, you know, soap pregnancies move at lightning speed. She's supposedly 7 weeks along now, so call that like 2 months, and then another, 5-6 months, and you've got a full-term soap pregnancy. So it definitely looks like Eric and Sloan are still together after the baby is born, because heading into late fall, early winter of 2023, it looks like that the baby is at their place visiting with them. So by then, Eric Brady has to know that Nicole Walker's baby is his, but he's still with Sloan Petersen. So how does that happen? And why isn't he with Nicole? So the first thing about Eric Brady, as you know, he's very forgiving. That's part of what helped him in his calling as a priest and in all that missionary work he did in Africa. Eric is at his core a good and decent guy. Now, that might seem strange for him to be paired with Sloan. Generally, she's upset over losing her mom and dad, and she can be vengeful, but she never stepped outside the law. Her brother Colin Bedford did that, and Eric doesn't like it, and she understands that, and she is trying to manage this situation. She has fallen in love with Eric. Eric has fallen in love with her, and Sloan is desperate not to lose him, and so because she did it out of the motive of love, even though it was a lie and a trick, I do think that that is one reason that it will slide, is because Eric is just a very forgiving person by nature. Also, the bottom line is he loves Sloan and she loves him. He has had his heart broken. He was crushed when he was dating Jada Hunter and she got pregnant, and then basically without even talking with him about it, she went and had an abortion, which of course is a woman's right to do. However, it crushed him because he's never had a biological child and he really wants to be a dad, and he loves Sloan. She loves him, and I don't think he's going to walk away from that lightly, because it's very clear to see why she did that, and it's very understandable. It's very soapy, very understandable. The third thing to consider about why Eric is still with Sloan come later this year, when after the baby is born, that is his child, is that Nicole is with EJ DiMera. She loves him, and it looks like they may actually really get engaged soon. And their relationship is going to deepen as she and EJ go through this process, believing they're having a baby together. The pregnancy is high risk. The leaked script indicates that Nicole makes it all the way through labor and delivery and has a healthy baby. Maybe it's not quite healthy since Eric mentioned a prescription, but at any rate, the baby makes it. Her pregnancy doesn't doesn't terminate, doesn't miscarry like it has on her a couple of times before. So as she and EJ go through this process, no doubt they are going to be doing more bonding and falling more in love. And then she sees Eric getting happier with Sloan. They're moving further apart. So that's another reason for Eric to stay with Sloan, is because his baby mama is with EJ. And of course, EJ promised her that even if the baby wasn't his, he would still support the child, still love her, all that good stuff. So when the truth comes out, he's got to hold to that, right? Maybe they'll even be married by then. We'll have to see. There's a whole bunch of marriage talk over at the DiMera mansion lately. Also, another reason to think that Eric is going to forgive Sloan is because Sloan is completely crushed about her mom and dad dying, and now it looks like Colin could be facing life in prison. It'll honestly be a miracle if Colin makes it alive out of the next 2 weeks. Jada Hunter is gunning for him. I do not have a doubt in my mind that she will put a bullet in Colin if she gets the chance. That way, her sister could be vindicated in these crimes. Even though her sister Talia was definitely committing the crimes, as Sloan just reminded Jada, if Colin is dead, then her lawyer can push all the crimes over to him and blame it all on him. They can say whatever they want because he won't be alive to defend himself. If Colin dies or is sent away to life in prison, Sloan is going to be crushed because he's her last living family. And it'll be a lot more easy for Eric to understand that she'd already lost her mom and dad. She knew she was going to lose Colin no matter what happened, either to prison or to something worse. And she just couldn't bear the idea of losing Eric, the only other person on the planet who loved her. So he's going to understand that. Let's also not forget that Eric has forgiven lots of people for lots of things over the years. He's forgiven Nicole Walker a whole lot of things. He has forgiven his twin sister, Sammy Brady, for a whole laundry list of crimes and bad choices. He forgave his girlfriend, Serena Mason, for lying about smuggling blood diamonds with Xander. Unfortunately, she wound up getting murdered by Ben Weston when he was in his necktie killer phase, but he forgave Serena before that. So, hey, if you haven't already, reach down, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our Days of Our Lives spoilers, casting news, everything you need to know. And we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments about this. It's clear from the leaked script that Eric and Nicole's baby makes it to term. It's also pretty clear that the baby is Eric's. And we saw today, based on Sloan's flashback, that she swabbed her own cheek instead of swabbing Eric's cheek, so she effectively rigged the paternity test without having to show up at the hospital. I imagine that things are going to rock on, and it's not going to come out maybe until even after birth, when the baby has like some kind of medical condition and maybe they have to check EJ's blood type or something, or maybe Sloan will finally break down and confess, but by then Nicole is in so deep with EJ and Eric is so deeply in love with Sloan that it works out. Let us know what you think about this and what you think about the fact that it definitely looks like Eric Brady is the baby's father, but he doesn't know it. What do you think about this?
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.